football should be banned. So our main speakers will be on the pro side, Stephanie Rivet, our governor from the College Preparatory School. And our con will be Jason Yu from Northgate High School. So is there a timekeeper in the audience? Audrey Fox? Okay, so you know the hand movements. Okay, great. So without further ado, we will have our pro opening speech. You have 6 minutes to talk.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie and I just want to talk to you about football. So I would just like all of you to start by forgetting all of your preconceived notions about football. I understand that it is a really integral part of our culture, but that does not necessarily mean it's a good thing. So just because you accept it at the moment, you need to question it, because that's what this debate is about. So I think one of the first problems with football is that it's harmful to people's bodies. And really, like, football players hurt themselves a lot. They repeatedly go out and bash their heads against each other and in practice against various like equipment, and that is so harmful. And if you look at the number of football players who have problems thinking and stuff now that they are, after playing football for a while, there's a lot of people who have that problem. And I think that there have been a lot of other sports in our history that we have accepted and then come to realize that they're too dangerous to continue. Like if you look at gladiator fights in ancient Rome, we decided that that is no longer a good sport to continue because it is so dangerous. And I think football falls in a similar category and we have yet to realize. And if you also look at the sport Tlachi, from the Aztecs, they used to sacrifice the winning team, and you'd be lucky if you made it off the court alive. And we came to decide that that sport is no longer acceptable. So we have to draw the line somewhere. And currently football is acceptable, and there's no reason that we need to continue down that line. I think another problem is that we see, if you looked out in the lobby earlier this morning, there's a whole bunch of 5-year-olds who are playing football, and they came here for a football convention. And you look at it, there's 5-year-olds who think violence is okay. Football is a violent sport, and now these are some of the worst behaved 5-year-olds I've ever seen. And I think that being exposed to this kind of violence and told it is okay ends up being reflected in how they grow up. And finally, aside from the NFL, football is often played by students, and I think in general, student athletes have a lot more trouble. Football players have a lot of practices, and these people are going to these institutions where they have so much academically that is offered to them, and they're spending their time playing football instead. And I think that although football might be meaningful to them, in the long run, football doesn't only results well for a very tiny percent of people who play football, and in the end a lot of people who do go to these colleges do not get the same education because they are playing football, which hurts them in the long run. I yield my time to questions. Yeah.
You discussed sports that have to do with basically in the end somebody's dying.
Yes.
Nobody's dying in football and they're choosing to play it. It's not like they're forced into playing football. They've gone into this knowing the consequences.
I would like to disagree with you on that. First of all, I think for a lot of people who play football, they see it as the only option, and they have grown up playing football. Like, football players do not necessarily think there's another avenue for them to succeed. And secondly, I think that so a lot of people are not necessarily doing it because, making an educated choice. And secondly, there are every month stories about people playing high school or college football who have serious injuries where they break their necks and stuff and they die. I just disagree.
In the very back, in front of the water.
Yeah. I I agree with you that football is not the only dangerous sport, and there's plenty of other ones I'd be happy to talk about as well. I think that football is one of the most dangerous sports if you look purely at statistics without making a judgment call. And the kinds of injuries that are incurred from football are life-threatening. Instead of soccer, the most common injury is tearing an ACL. And although you do have to have a painful surgery for that to fix it, your life is not in danger. Yes. Danger. Sorry. Next question.
You in the white shirt and the blazer?
The United States government actually did a study and proved that cheerleading actually results in more serious and actually more frequent injuries than football.
Again, I don't think it's necessarily a valid argument to say that there are other sports that are equally dangerous, because this debate is about football.
Let's take you in the, no, put in front of you. Yeah, you.
You mentioned how people get very absorbed in their football and that they have a lot of practices. What about soccer players? They have to go to practice after school every day. Softball players.
I think when it comes to college sports, not all of them are played at the same level. And if you look across universities, I think football players are spending a lot of time on the field. Yes.
You said that people who play football, it kind of hurts them in the long run academically, but I know plenty of football players, like grades are a choice by someone, like their own choice, but football I think it's actually better for the person in the long run because it keeps them occupied from doing other things which can tend to be illegal. So playing football also teaches someone discipline.
What is your question?
No, I'm saying, but like how is a football
An academic deterrent?
yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry if maybe I did not express myself in the best way. I think that although playing football is really helpful for a lot of individuals, if you look in general at the group of people who are playing football, there's a lot of people who dedicate a lot of time and energy in college to football. And if you look at the practice schedules and the traveling and stuff like that, it is not necessarily possible to do as well academically as if you were spending that time on studying, if that makes sense.
You keep making a lot of references to time spent playing football versus academics and the increase in stage in football. But could you please share, do you have any statistics that you can share with us?
Okay, so just really quickly, because I'm running out of time, I don't have exact statistics with me right now, but just from talking to people who are who do play football at universities and stuff like that.
All right, so that's time. Now we'll have a 6-minute opening speech from the con side. Jason?